So excited to be a part of Bead and Button this coming June and be with you all and share 3 of my favorite bead weaving projects, and also sharing some tips and insights and steps I used and you can learn from for making your bead weaving pieces more appealing, more wearable, more durable. Good stuff to know. A little about me. My name is Warren Feld. I've been beading and making jewelry for 32 years. I own a store in Nashville called Bedazzled Beads and an online business called landofods.com. I'm very passionate about teaching jewelry making, beading, and design. I love working with beginners and experienced jewelry makers and beaders alike. I love teaching them how to make choices, what to include, what not to include, what works when, what doesn't work when, how you buy things, how you combine materials, colors, and techniques, how you anticipate what happens to all this stuff over time, and how you make your piece feel a little bit more contemporary, and how you make the smart trade-offs between beauty and functionality. These are the kinds of choices jewelry designers need to be able to make in order to create things which are wearable, that keep their shape, keep their color, feel good to wear, move with the person, that don't break very easily. I teach many classes in bead weaving, bead stringing, wire weaving, and the business of craft in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm also on the road teaching at other bead stores or beading groups with other craft groups as well. Almost 20 years ago here in Nashville, I created a different kind of jewelry making and beading educational program, one which focused not just on teaching the basic craft mechanics, but on the artistry and design aspects as well. Each class goes way beyond that step-by-step sort of routine and model, and tries to link each step to the choices underlying them about art and design and technique. We guide our students to tap into their creativity and translate their inspirations into successful jewelry designs, designs which wear well, feel good, and are very appealing and durable. I've also written many published articles about what it means to be fluent in design, things about color, architecture, contemporary design considerations. You can find links to these articles on my website, warrenfeldjewelry.com. And I am so excited about this. I'll be leading a jewelry making cruise next year, 5 nights to Miami and Cozumel and Key West. And this will be one of many enrichment travel programs that we're trying to implement, where you're going to learn some jewelry making, some technique, some history related to the local culture of where we're visiting with the cruise. I hope you and your jewelry making friends can join us on this cruise. And again, there's more information on my website, warrenfeldjewelry.com. What I'll be talking about over the next several minutes is introducing you to 3 wonderful projects I'm excited to be teaching at Bead and Button this June. First, the Etruscan Square Stitch Bracelet. Second, the Japanese Garden Bracelet. Third, the ColorBlock Bracelet. All my projects reflect my thinking about 1, materials and techniques, that is, how best to find that Goldilocks point between beauty and functionality. 2, contemporary design, that is, how best to incorporate contemporary design elements into your pieces. And 3, architectural basics, that is, how best to implement that technique so your project can both keep its shape as well as move, drape, and flow. The first project is the Etruscan Square Stitch Bracelet. This project is offered on Friday, June 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. And this is a beginner level project. Several years ago, I developed a week-long series of enrichment travel workshops in Cortona, Italy. The topic was contemporizing traditional Etruscan jewelry. And the premise of these workshops was that because so many people draw inspiration from traditional styles of jewelry, the question for the designer becomes, how do you make a piece feel like it belongs in contemporary times? There are many ways of answering this question. The Etruscan Square Stitch Bracelet was one of the workshop projects, and represents one way of answering the question, how you contemporize traditional pieces. This project is created using square stitch. We use faceted cube metal beads. We have a brass kit and a nickel colored kit. We build a frame around an open negative space, and then we fill in that space. Most students, when they learn a particular stitch, Either get focused on maintaining a tight tension or get focused on maintaining a loose tension, but in reality you need to do both. You need to be both tight and loose. Every stitch pattern requires that part of what you do should be tight and part of what you do should be loose. This is what it means to learn the architectural basics underlying each stitch. Architecturally, every stitch has part of the stitch pattern concerned with maintaining its shape. Here we use a tighter tension. We call this structure. And part of the stitch pattern is concerned with movement, drape, and flow. And here we use a looser tension, and we call this support. So we'll learn and practice how the square stitch achieves what's called structure and support. All my pieces build in contemporary design considerations, and in this piece I've added a sense of dimension, some movement, and some violation of plane and line. While we are constructing our bracelets together, I will also be commenting on the design choices I made, what in our educational program here in Nashville we call Think Alouds. My second piece, Japanese Garden Bracelet, is also a great example of how I think. That is how I make choices about beauty and functionality, about contemporary style, and about architectural considerations. The second project, Japanese Garden Bracelet, is going to be offered on Saturday, June 8th from 9 a.m. to noon, and this is an intermediate level project. For several years I've been struggling to create a parabolic arch, think Gateway Arch in St. Louis, using various bead weaving techniques. The challenge was to get some type of arch that will keep its shape when the bracelet's worn without flopping over and staying flopped over or breaking. So it has to be able to stand a lot of forces which press upon it without losing its shape or breaking. Once I was comfortable with the mechanics, I then envisioned the arch in a design and pretty quickly thought of the lacquered redwood bridges you see in Japanese gardens. Gardens are such great inspirations for bead weaving projects and so fun to create. There are two different kits representing two different gardenscapes. The first one is called a fragrance garden and the second one is called a tea garden. This bracelet has a square stitch foundation. The flowers are created using a fringing technique. The arches are created using a variation on the ladder stitch. The sides have a picot edging. Again, architecturally, each stitch has a part of its pattern which needs to be tight to keep a shape, what we call structure, and part of the pattern to be looser to allow the piece to move, drape, and flow, what we call support. We learn and practice this for each of the stitches used in this project. In this class, we'll use our time to create a 9-row sampler so that you get to rehearse all the steps and you'll have some time to begin the bracelet. While we're learning the mechanics, like I do with all my classes, I'll be doing a Think Aloud. You'll be able to hear how I evaluated alternative materials, techniques, methods, how I made my final choices, and the justifications I used for these choices. Think Alouds by a teacher are very important tools for student learning. You get to see my thought processes as if you were right there when I was creating the piece. So during class, I'll go over why I chose a luster finish for the beads I used in the foundation, why I use 1G thread to create fringe, how the arch is created as a series of stacked segments, which allow each segment to move somewhat independently but somewhat interdependently. And as with all my other projects, I build in contemporary considerations. That's important to me. And these include movement, dimension, and disrupting or violating a sense of line and plane. The last project I'll be teaching at Bead and Button is called ColorBlock Bracelet. I know you're going to love this project as well, and again reflected in this project are my considerations about materials and techniques, architectural basics, and contemporary design. This project, the ColorBlock Bracelet, will be on Saturday, June 8th from 1 to 4, and this is an intermediate level project. We have an advanced study bead group, and at the time they were experimenting with color blending. And we looked at different strategies for color blending, and we decided that the more successful color blending strategies followed a very strict formula. There are many different formulas with various artists used, and the most successful ones, though, always had some kind of mathematical formulaic basis. This color bracelet uses a color blending formula called progressive proportions, and we'll discuss that in more detail in the class. At the same time, I was also beginning to explore what it meant to call a piece of jewelry a contemporary design. I began reviewing and documenting ideas found in galleries and in print, and this color block piece represents several requirements I became more and more aware of related to contemporary design. So use of components and forms, dimensionality, movement, disruption or violation of line and plane, curvature, leveraging the strengths of various techniques used. And this piece involves the ladder stitch, layered right angle weave, regular right angle weave, and some picot edge embellishment. Implementing the techniques requires attention to maintaining both structure and support, which is architecture. Again, each stitch pattern has a part of the pattern where you need to be tighter, thus maintaining shape, and a part of the pattern where you need to be looser, thus allowing for movement, drape, and flow. And here each component takes full advantage of when each stitch needs to be tight and when it needs to be looser in order to achieve my contemporary design objectives. There are two kit palettes, Raspberry Sunset and Cool Lagoon. I look forward to meeting all of you at Bead and Button this coming June. You'll love these 3 bead weaving projects. They're fun to do, they're attractive to wear, there's lots of art and design insights associated with each one, fun to learn, just awesome stuff. You can learn more about me and my upcoming activities on my website, warrenfeldjewelry.com. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, Warren at warrenfeldjewelry.com. And oh yes, one more thing. I'm going to be in Milwaukee the entire week of the show, from Monday to Sunday. Look for me. I'd love to meet you all individually. We'd love to talk bead weaving, jewelry making, or whatever. And I wish you an exciting Bead and Button show. Thanks again, and see you all at Bead and Button.